What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? You are on the sidelines with the Sideline guys. And today, people, today, I have the honor of being joined once again by the pod father himself, Derrick Myers. How's it going, brother?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have the pleasure of being joined by the maestro himself.
Look at this guy. What,
Yes,
what a
sir.
legend. Just throwing back to the host. Hey, man. Once again, it's always a pleasure to be with the reason we're here. God damn it, the creator of OTS Media. And while we're on the topic, why don't you let the people know where they could find all of the great things we have going on at OTS?
Yes, sir. Well, follow the brand OTS Media Co. on social media, all social media pages. OTS Media on YouTube. Please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. There's a lot of great stuff that's coming. Realish will be returning this week. And Life's a Botch is coming back as well. There's a lot of great, exciting things. We have a big announcement coming up for you guys as well. So definitely be tuned in for that. Um, so yeah, think you guys gonna enjoy it.
Heck yeah, with all the pleasantries out there, why don't you tell them also where they could find you specifically, brother?
Oh, specifically, Derrick underscore OTS. That's Derrick, the black way to spell it.
Yes, sir. Make sure you're following him on all social media platforms as well. We got a lot of really cool stuff brewing this year, but it's this month especially. We're coming in hot,
Yes,
baby.
sir. Yes,
On
sir.
Friday, you have another TSG live to look forward to, you guys. So make sure that you keep
Yes,
your
sir.
eyes peeled for that. And you could also find me at Negron MMA on TikTok as well as Twitter. Make sure you check out the TikTok. I'm really trying to build the brand over there. Been having a lot of fun cutting up some of the clips from the show and really want to start adding in some more actual fight clips too. So keep an eye out for that. But damn, we got an actual show to get into. God damn it!
Yes, sir.
Really excited to talk about the news that we have across the NBA world, and then of course, super wild card weekend in the NFL. But first off, we got to start on a little bit of a sad note. Of course, Ja Morant. It has been announced that he is out for the rest of the season. Um, Shout out to Woj for the way he reported it. I think a lot of people sort of read what he said and didn't really understand what it meant and started sort
Hmm.
of attacking him for the way he um, let out the tweet about the injury. But I thought it perfectly explained what happened. And I have a little bit of experience understanding what a subluxation is because of MMA. So I figured I'd give a little context that clearly some of the people in his mentions were lacking. But
Hmm.
basically, to make a long story short, he had suffered from a subluxation, which is when your shoulder actually pops out of the socket. Um, and this is an injury that is very common, obviously, when you have something like a tear, which it is confirmed that he has. Um, but usually, when this happens, it's not as if he is already aware that the tear exists, right? It's just a
Hmm.
matter of the shoulder itself slipping out. It's a very painful injury, and there's a lot of people that'll tell you there's certain ways to pop it back in place. Just get to a doctor, right? Don't let a couple different random people start yoking on your arm, because I've seen a champ in MMA deal with that issue where everyone knew how to set it back and were trying to set it back, and then he was out for 2 years after that because of the damage done to his shoulder. So obviously, a
Who's that?
completely different situation. Yuri Prohachka, who recently come back.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
he lost his title shot opportunity when coming back against Alex Pereira, but he is signed for a fight for UFC 300. So look out for
Yes,
Yuri
sir.
Prochazka going up against, I believe it is Alexander Rakic at UFC 300. But with all that being said, Ja Morant suffered that subluxation, and then afterwards they realized that he had this labrum tear, which is just a terrible injury. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously prayers up to him and his family. I hope he goes through a speedy recovery from this injury. But the timing is just terrible with all things considered. Obviously, he was just coming
Hmm.
back from that 25 game suspension, and then this unfortunate injury occurs. Um, Obviously, we could talk about the outlook for the Grizzlies and all those other things moving forward. But what was your initial
Yeah.
reaction when hearing the news?
Shock, because it like came out of nowhere, right? But I think my understanding was, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that he suffered this injury during practice or something like that.
Hmm.
So it was kind of like one of those things. I was completely thrown off because I think the game prior to he was like a late scratch or something like that. So I mean, just shocked, man. Just shocked because it sucks, especially for the Grizzlies because, like you said, he just came back from his suspension, and you saw how um ignited that team looked like with him just being back. They looked like they were just like stuck out there in the ocean before the suspension was over, and once he came back, like they were like just hitting on all cylinders. So he's out. I think Marcus Smart is out for like 4 to 6 weeks with a finger injury. So yeah, I mean at this point, I don't know what what they could actually do. I don't think there's a reason to do anything this season for them. I think I was saying a couple weeks ago that I thought that because of the whole Steven Adams injury, it would make sense for them to go get Dwight Howard because he could play a similar role to Adams in that offense. But uh, at this point, there's no reason to do anything. Just go get the highest pick you can get and gear up from next season because there's nothing they're gonna do this year.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, man. I couldn't agree with you
Yeah,
more. Litany of injuries, right, between
yeah.
Steven Adams, Brandon Clark, just
Brandon
so many
Clark, yeah,
different guys on that team. And obviously, before this, you could always say, hey, that's self-imposed. But regardless, there's so many different people losing time from the team, and obviously that always affects things. Just an unfortunate way for this to all play out. Like you said, man, he came back and they were galvanized, right? I think they won
yeah.
four straight right out the gate and
Right out
were
the
just
gate.
looking really competitive in a way that they weren't before that. So yeah, man, if you got why am I forgetting his name? Desmond Bain on your fantasy team is looking good for you. But besides
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
there's no positive outlook really to be had here. I mean, obviously that injury too is a tricky one to come back from, right? So that's my primary concern. Obviously, with
Mhm.
a player that's so explosive like Ja, to be comfortable in just moving around again normally, let alone returning to basketball activities. So just a shitty situation all around, like we said, and just really hope he gets back to training shape quickly, let alone to play again, man. I won't be surprised if this is an injury that trickles into next year, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would suck, but I mean, kind of is what it is at this point. I think if it's good that they caught it early though. That's the one thing that I am happy for that they caught it early and they were able to take care of it as soon as possible. So yeah, it sucks, but you got it.
Yeah, man. It's tough, but fortunately, he has a lot of the best doctors in the country to try to mend certain things like this, right? Whenever I hear
Yeah,
about stories like this in MMA, it's a different kind of heartbreaking because not
yeah,
only are they not going to be able to make money by actually fighting, but most of the time they're not covered even by insurance if they weren't injured
yeah.
in an actual competition. So thankfully, the mechanisms of the NBA are much better for situations like this than it would be in MMA.
Most definitely.
But next up, we move on to our NFL Super Wild Card Weekend preview. Dude, we got so many different things to talk about in the wide world of the NFL, but none more pressing than everyone just losing a goddamn job. Just you can't keep a job, god damn it. As soon as the regular season was over, there was the
Yeah.
announcement of many different firings between Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, one that I'm sure had you particularly smiling, Arthur Smith, Mike Vrabel, Ron Rivera, and then of course Brandon Staley, all fired right after the season. I mean, right before the season ended too. We got Frank Reich's firing too. So this always happens, right? This is to be expected with the turnover in the league. But I gotta ask you, Derrick, what do you think is the most attractive destination for a potential coach, right? Regardless of who that may
Ooh,
be, of all these teams that have vacancies.
attractive. I would say the Chargers, honestly. Like because of all the vacancies, which team is the one that you think can contend immediately with like just the right coach there, that would be the Chargers. They seem to be um without any identity. So I would say definitely the Chargers. I think what would be a fun team to coach. Atlanta would probably be a good fun team to coach at this point. They have a lot of nice good pieces. I think they have the ability to do something next year, depending on who they're drafting, if they're able to sign any free agents, but mainly who the coach is. I think one of the things that throws me off is and I don't know why Arthur Blank. Um
Smith.
no, but the owner
Oh, okay.
the
I don't
owner,
know.
yeah. Um was throwing me off about him is, apparently they had the opportunity to go get Lamar Jackson, and they bypassed that opportunity. Um
Thank
and
God.
huh?
I said, thank God. Go
Oh,
ahead.
thank
Sorry
God. Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. For you, yeah.
Mhm.
But when you're talking about a team like Atlanta, like think about how different they would look if they just had Lamar Jackson with
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, who I think if you get the right coach, Kyle Pitts is going to have an immediate impact within the right system. Bijan Robinson obviously will have the great impact with the right coach, but you have to get that specific quarterback that can actually do what you need them to do. And having a Lamar Jackson here in Atlanta would have definitely been something that would have been fun to see. And they would have probably been, I think they definitely would have won the division had they had Lamar there. But it depends on what you see. I think also Washington could be a very intriguing option depending on who you're talking to. I almost want, like, you know what? Like you made a valid point beginning of the season, and I thought about it as soon as Ron Rivera got fired, that they hired Bieniemy for his eventual replacement, and it's the smart move to make. But I almost wonder if they're going to overthink this, right? Like if that is even who they're going to hire, because I could see a opportunity where he's not there. I can see that actually taking place where they don't hire the right guy for the job. They hire who they want. Now this is new ownership, so we might be applying, Dan Snyder logic to this franchise right now, but I can't help but to apply that to this logic to this franchise at this point. We'll see what happens. Rivera obviously wasn't the coach that they wanted, or at least this ownership team wanted. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. But the enemy makes the most sense, right?
Mhm. For sure. Dude, there's so many different angles I got to jump in here with now because you took
Yeah.
my thunder a little, right? You took my
My
second
bad.
option, you took my third option. I got to go fourth option now. But I agree. We could talk quickly about all of these teams. As far as this whole Washington scenario, I find it really strange too, because like you said, you have the clear successor, in my opinion, or who you would want from the start in this position, if you ask me. The fact that he's had this job for this long has kind of always been strange to me. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, even through the leadership changes, you would think, with all due respect, that this opportunity would have came earlier, just because you could only galvanize the guys to not making the playoffs so many times right before
Right, 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 right.
you're
Right.
not given that next year opportunity. But yeah, if the Commanders were smart, I think they definitely move the enemy into this slot. And then you don't have a crazy extensive search to be done now, right? You just need to get an
Right.
offensive coordinator, and I'm sure he has the right context to pull from to get that guy, right? So
Yeah.
it just makes sense. If it doesn't happen, like you mentioned, I'd actually be much more shocked at that than any of the guys we mentioned being fired, being slotted
Yeah.
into any of these jobs. To be honest,
Yeah.
that would be surprising to me. But um, to take the step back into the first team you mentioned, the Chargers. I agree, man. Off the rip, I would say they are the premier location as far as where anyone should end up. I think the rumors have been for a while now that Bill Belichick was interested in this scenario before this season even happened, right? So
Right.
that seems to be the direction that is headed. I'm not convinced that it's just on coaching though. I feel like the
Yeah,
specifically the defensive ceiling on that team really fell out right underneath them, and
yeah,
I'm interested to see what kind of rebuilding they could do on that side of the ball, man, because it's so strange that you have people on that team that are considered to be capital P players and they're just gone after a
yeah,
year of dysfunction. So that's a really weird team, and another team to side eye is almost like a are you cursed? Like it's been so many years now.
yeah,
You've had a
yeah,
ton of issues. It's hard
yeah,
not to question whether or not they're just on the wrong side of luck at this point.
yeah. So I would say my surprising, the one that actually shocked me was Mike Vrabel. Like, I didn't see that one coming, to be honest. I figured that was, the team that probably just needed, kind of like a little roster shuffle or something like that, but nothing in terms of coaching. Um, and obviously his name is like you're gonna be hearing
Respected.
his name, yeah, and
Mhm.
then people are gonna be talking about him a lot with these vacancies. So I would assume he's going. Hmm, I almost wonder if Washington is going to look at him. Like I would assume you might hear his name with New England, but yeah, it sounded like Jared Mayo was going to be the one that was going to be the successor anyway. So I kind of don't really believe that whole idea. But Vrabel in Washington, maybe we'll see. Look, Carolina is a team that I don't even know what they're gonna do. Tennessee, I get, right? Like they have some pieces that they can kind of work with. Carolina is just confused. They've confused me because I don't know what the purpose of the roster structure was going
Mhm.
into the season. I told you I thought that whole Miles Sanders pickup made no sense. And you going after what they got Hayden Hurst, right?
Yes.
Hayden Hurst and Adam Thielen. I don't know how you I don't know what the purpose was for that
Yeah.
roster structure, bro. That one was just so confusing. So I'm intrigued to see what they do, but
That's an
Washington
all
and
race ball lineup right there, if I ever heard
yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah. But you know what, to be honest, I think that New England is a very attractive destination though. I would
Really?
say it is. I would say it is
I think it's one
because
of the ugliest.
I the reason why I say it is because I don't think Mike Jones is a horrible quarterback. Or Mac Jones, I'm sorry. I don't think Mac Jones is a
I
horrible
was about to say
quarterback.
who?
I I don't think he's a horrible quarterback. I think that um you saw a lot of their issues start to become more apparent when Gonzalez and Judon went down for the season. Like when those guys were there, New England was hovering. Like they were losing games, but you saw them always like in it. They weren't losing by like big points. It was moral victories, obviously, but it wasn't something that you looked at and was like, what's wrong with this team? It was just like you could see they needed the pieces. I personally don't think Mac Jones is a quarterback you should give up on, but I could see it happening.
Mhm.
I
That whole
it,
Sappy situation always kind of confused me too, because
yeah,
I mean, if he's not really injured, why would you prevent who you would
yeah,
imagine is going to be your future from
yeah.
starting? It was a weird situation in the first place, and I
Yeah.
agree. I tend to agree, man. I think Mac Jones shouldn't be given up on, but at the same time, um, it kind of makes sense to me why New England would let Belichick go, why the
Mm.
Titans would let Vrabel go, because it kind of seems like both of those situations are leading to a rebuild, right? More than
Hmm.
likely, this
Hmm.
was Derrick Henry's last season in Tennessee.
Yeah.
He took the mic and gave his little shout out to the fans there at the
Yeah.
end, so definitely makes you feel like he's going to be a Raven next year. I just gotta throw it out there. But as far as actually like I don't know. As far as the New England goes too, I think they're not going to be good for multiple years, and you
Not
have
at
to
all.
assume that um, even if they end up getting whatever new coach comes into that role, that for a couple years they're still going to be sucking, and you'll find out whether or not Mac Jones is someone that you actually want to keep on your team. But I just found it weird all season. Why would you keep him out and play Zappy when at this point it's pretty clear you don't got a shot at winning, right, or winning the
Yeah.
division? So I,
Yeah.
such a weird move there by Belichick. But once
Yeah.
again, no shortage of people that will question him on this show, to say the least.
Hey man, look,
It's a
I
show
would
me league,
assume
God damn it.
I
You got to
yeah,
show
I
me.
guess he was just at that point. He was just like, I just don't care anymore. You ever been at work where you're just like you just like let's say around like the Christmas season, right? You know you got to go on break. You ain't gonna really care about a lot of stuff going on, right? I felt like this was like an extended Christmas break time for Belichick. I don't think he really cared what was going on at that point, you know, on the way out the door. So whatever, man. I am intrigued to see what happens with New England. Extremely intrigued to see what happens with Washington. But yeah, Tennessee, I think they're Tannehill's gone.
You have to think so. I mean, you drafted two
Yeah,
quarterbacks the last 2 years. You have to assume
yeah,
one of those guys are going to be put in that slot. Um,
yeah.
yeah, I would imagine Tannehill's gone. I would imagine Derrick Henry's gone. And then, I mean, they got some pretty promising wide receivers with Traylon Burks, and
They
obviously
do. Yeah.
Hopkins is still in that contract, if I'm not mistaken, for one more season. So
Man,
someone's gotta air it out, right?
yo, can you imagine like Hopkins going to Arizona and not working out? He thought it was gonna be a championship team, didn't work out. Go to Tennessee, you kind of like roll the dice. That's the team that gave you the most money.
Mhm.
What happens now with him?
It's a great question, man. I would imagine wherever he goes, he's not going to be looking to make the same kind of money he made this season.
No,
I feel like he
nope.
got paid for this season last season.
Yeah,
More than
yeah,
likely,
yeah.
he's just going to be looking to contend and ring chase for sure.
You think he pushes his way out and get a trade at this point?
Um, I'm
Or do you think it's
honestly,
kind of like you made your bed?
yeah, you made your bed. You might as well stay with the situation you got going on. I mean, what leverage does he have to push himself out, even if they decide to
Mm,
fully? I would assume they're still in a position where they are trying to contend next season, even if they lose all those pieces we talked about. So,
yeah.
um, I don't know. We'll see. But another situation that you didn't even mention at all, Seattle, man, that was a shock to my
Yeah. Oh
system.
my.
That is one of
Yeah.
the teams that I really feel is the closest to having a playoff level championship potential contender team. I'm interested to see who ends up being the forefront of that job search, and most importantly, whether or not Geno Smith is the future, right? I mean, obviously, this has been
Yeah.
such a great storyline the last 2 years. But uh, obviously, with the way things ended this year, it's unfortunate that immediately everyone's going to go back to questioning him. But no matter
Hmm.
who ends up in this spot, it's kind of going to be looked at like Geno Smith is a 1 year rental, right? If he does well, we'll keep him. If he
Hmm.
doesn't do well,
Hmm.
then we're going to look to draft, and that's just the reality of the situation he's in. But I think
Hmm.
overall they have the pieces between a good young run game and a bunch of young receivers. No matter who's in that slot, it seems like they're going to ball out. And I just hope it is Geno Smith and he stays.
Can you see a scenario where Russell Wilson comes back?
Russell Wilson. Ooh,
Bro, I'm
young Russell. Um,
bro, I'm tired. So
yeah.
some names might get crisscrossed tonight.
Hey, I don't blame you at all. Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's
If I'm
ride.
being real, I think he ends up somewhere like the Steelers or I don't know, just somewhere like that rather than ending up back in Seattle. I just feel like that was such a weird storyline too, right? Such a
Yeah,
weird like
yeah.
he was perceived 50-50 almost by his team. It kind of felt like 50% of the guys really liked them, 50% were like, man, this guy's fake. And I don't think that stain leaves an organization. Like you can go somewhere
Hmm.
else and sort of reestablish yourself, but I would imagine no matter what, he's kind of going to be looked at like that in Seattle, for good or for worse.
Yeah.
So I don't think he goes back there, but I don't think he should go anywhere at all. I think honestly the new culture of hey, this is 2K, we got to fire up the trade machine as soon as things
Yeah.
start falling apart is kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, I get the ring chasing culture as a whole,
Hmm.
but let's put a little weight behind the actual agreements you're making, guys, right? Like, do we
Yeah.
have to every year publicly vie for a trade? It's kind of ridiculous.
No, I agree with that. I just don't see I personally don't see how he comes back to Denver at this point. That was a very weird situation. Unless Sean Payton is gone. And I don't know that they're gonna move on from Sean Payton right now. Um
They should. They
they
should.
should. No, I agree, but I don't see it happening. What if he decided to go to Atlanta?
Who?
Your
Who?
wife is
Wait,
from
who?
there. Wilson.
Mhm.
Your wife is from there. They need a quarterback. They desperately need a quarterback. You know, that would be a very intriguing look. I'm not sure that you're winning it, you know, you're definitely not winning a championship in Atlanta, but it'd be fun. It'd be fun to
Yep.
watch. You know, I
Another
think
team with a young defense too, right? Why not?
no, yeah, no, young defense. Kyle Pitts definitely his value goes up for
Drake
sure.
London as well.
Drake
The dude is
London
a
for
dog. I
sure.
think out of those two guys, Drake London is the guy.
Oh,
I
for
don't think
sure. Yeah,
Kyle
yeah, no.
Pitts is
No,
the
he is
guy.
the
I feel
guy.
like Drake London
Yeah.
is the guy for sure.
Drake London definitely is the guy, but you have those weapons there. It'd be a very interesting prospect.
The play action alone, right? Just
Yeah.
wet dreams as a coach to have those
Yeah.
two guys to run the play action with. Yeah, I
Yeah.
actually really like that, right? Why not
Yeah.
throw in a Mike Vrabel there in Atlanta? It
Bro,
sounds
why
amazing,
not?
right?
Cause you need look, even though the team is young, you need a veteran
Hmm.
player to
Leader.
come in there. You need a
Yeah.
leader. They don't have a leader right now. That's the right word for it. They need a leader. That would be very intriguing. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And you know, he could take Sierra out on many Waffle House dates if he wants. You
I
know,
was
he
about to
could.
say this is a match made in heaven because I haven't even considered this at all. This is clearly an Atlanta
Yeah,
insider. So shout out to you, Derek. That
yeah.
you
It's
just
just something I
opened
just
my
thought about.
eyes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Get them in there. Get them in there. Send them to Atlanta. I
Hey,
love it.
I would love to see it though.
Mhm. For sure, man. All of these
Yeah,
different. I feel like um none more so than New England just feels like, okay, this team is trash. Besides that, it
right.
feels like everyone has enough pieces that with certain moves in the offseason, they could find themselves vying for a playoff spots. But
Yeah.
man, the league is so volatile, right? We see that year in and year out, man. Who's a contender and who's not can change on a dime. And that
Hmm.
leads us right into this super wild card discussion, man. I am so excited just because of the matchups we have, right? It's such a different playoff picture, right, than we've recently had. So why don't we start on the Saturday games? Browns at the division winner, Houston Texans on 4:30 and Saturday. Man, Derek, I'm gonna force you to lead the discussion on this one. How do you feel about this matchup in Houston?
Bro, we talked about Houston beginning the season, right? And how interesting that team was going to be. I'm going with the Texans, man. I'm picking the Texans to win this matchup. I think that everything that D'Amico Ryans has done down there and Stroud, you know, I think that's a nice young team that they have there. And you still have, if I'm not mistaken, they still have some picks that they can use to get some more players. So the future is bright for them, man. I think Houston can make a really fast turnaround.
Mhm.
I think they can make a real fast turnaround because where they were headed was pretty much hell. I mean, that team was going nowhere fast. So to be a team that people look at and actually like take seriously, I think I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Houston.
I agree with you, man. I think when you have a quarterback like CJ Stroud at the helm, it's hard to feel bad about any team like that, especially a young team. But unfortunately, I will be going with the Cleveland Browns, right? I'm an AFC North guy. I've got the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
inside track on this. And as far as this
Yeah.
matchup goes, I think this is a Houston team that isn't at its full capacity. I think if Tank Dell's playing, this is a completely different matchup, and it really changes the dynamics there. I think because we have to rely solely on Nico Collins in the offense, and then the bizarre falling out of Damian Pierce, right? Going from what was considered to be
Yeah,
a star emerging running back to now just basically a special teams guy, was one of the bigger shocks and one of the bigger pains to my fantasy dynasty team, but we don't
yeah.
got to get into that too much. I like this Texans team a lot too. I just think their running game at this point isn't really solidified. Shout out to Singletary. He did his thing this year. Don't get me wrong
He
in
did.
that
He
role.
did.
Um, but I still think that their run game as a whole isn't shored up. On top of obviously not having some of your biggest weapons, I think facing a defense the caliber of the Cleveland Browns and then having the gunslinger right off the bench, my guy Joe Flacco, just taking naps on the
Oh man,
sidelines,
I
right?
completely forgot Flacco was playing for them.
Mm-hmm. It changes things,
Mm,
right? Who would have
I'm
thought? It
changing my
actually
answer right
changes
now.
things.
Yeah, I'm going to
Damn.
Browns. I'm changing. I forgot all about that, man.
Wow. Wow. Joe
Wow.
Flacco has that kind of a pull in
Yeah.
2024, man, the year of our Lord.
Yeah.
I never would have
Yeah.
thought that. God damn, I love it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I feel like between Miles Garrett and Joe Flacco being able to keep up at least on that end offensively, I think the Browns are in a good spot. But I agree with everything you said basically about Houston. I think their team is super exciting this year. Obviously, no one expected them to be at this level. So the fact that you already arrived here, kind of feels like they're just on borrowed time at this point. But just the level of composure that you've seen from CJ Stroud, generational talent, man. This guy, there's a reason why a lot of people are talking about, that there's only a handful of guys that you might want to have at quarterback in front of him, just because clearly everything he's put out on film this year really speaks to that as a rookie, leading the league in interception percentage, right? Just
Mhm.
taking care of the ball and seeing the game as such a veteran, as a rookie, man, super impressive. But I just feel like overall the pieces aren't there just yet for the Texans. But that's a team to keep your eye out for, god damn it,
Oh, for
because
sure.
even when we beat them week 2, and I think we did some damage to them. I think we won like 33 or something. Um, Even then though, I knew that was a very quality win because the way
Right.
their pass rush is getting after it, man. Will Anderson turned out to be a goddamn beast for them. And
Yeah.
they're going to be a problem for whoever they come up against in the next couple years for sure. But the
Most
new
definitely.
look Texans, right? Whenever we see them figure out that run game and their
Yeah.
receivers at full capacity, man, next season, those guys are going to be for real and one to look
Just
out for sure.
I just thought about something. What if they get in on a Derrick Henry
Whew.
train? Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be interesting?
That'd be phenomenal, right? I
Yeah.
mean, as far as making a divisional move, it feels like a low blow, right? It feels
I
like
know, I
a
know,
heartless move, but why
I
not? I
know.
mean, if the money's there and it works out for him, I just want to see Derrick Henry get paid, no matter where
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is,
yeah.
right?
He deserves
Show
it.
show the worth of that position too, because what he's been able to do in his career is nothing short of phenomenal. But I think the position is better because he is a player. Just saying.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I would love him on the Texans. I also love him on the Ravens, from being real. But yeah,
Yeah.
Texans is a great spot. I think if the Texans, they're looking to shore up anything, it's going to be the interior line because their interior line was really
Mm-hmm.
good this year. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, if you could deepen that and then add a couple different weapons, man, this team is a championship contender to say the least.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing too because all you got is time, right? You got a rookie
Yeah.
quarterback, you got time to figure this out. A lot of the young receivers on this team are on their rookie contracts still too, so no need to rush this team at all. But I think it's the Browns' time, even though, I mean, the storyline, right, of the Deshaun Watson trade is kind of in the background because he's injured.
Mm-hmm.
But the script writers are really on one for this Super Wild
Hey.
Card weekend, man. We got so many
Yeah.
different storylines to consider here, but that one's kind of in the background because he's injured, obviously. But I think we're both confident now in the Browns taking this one. But honestly, I won't be shocked if the Texans take it outright. And I'll say this right now. Um, Out of either of these teams, I'd be more scared to go up against the Texans than I would to go up against the Browns. I'm just being real.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean they again they've got an identity down there. They know exactly how they want to play. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, what happens for them next season, honestly. This it's gonna be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it for
For sure. And I mean, the same goes for the Browns too, right? Like they have so many
them.
questions that need to be answered too. Is Deshaun Watson that guy anymore?
No,
Is the biggest question, right?
no,
It's crazy.
he's not. He's not. And I think it was I thought it was weird when they paid him that much to begin with.
I agree.
Um
The
I
handy
just
money, man.
bro,
It's crazy.
I think it's very interesting to see like how teams are willing to spend for specific players. That one if he doesn't come back and play to his level that or at least to the level that we know that he can get to, um it's going to be intriguing to see where this ranks in terms of like busts for payment, right? Like you paid this much for this player and got nothing out of him. Where that's going to end up ranking in there. Because that's there's a lot of players you could talk about that got the money but didn't show up.
Hmm.
Um Ezekiel Elliott is going to be one that I think
I
you
was
could
about to
talk
say the
about.
poster boy for this conversation, Kirk Cousins, you could
Kirk
argue is
Cousins.
definitely way more accomplished than he
Oh yeah, yeah,
has.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
crazy.
Kirk, yeah. It's very interesting to see what it was going. Oh, maybe wait, is he out? Is he out of Minnesota?
That's a great question too. Who knows? Who knows? He said he was willing to take a pay cut. So when you start saying stuff like that, maybe the seat
Yeah.
is a little hot. Who knows?
Yeah. I ain't taking no pay cut.
He mentioned it. He's like, I'll take a family discount, right? That's when you know you got people looking at your job when you're saying shit like that. I ain't
Yeah.
saying nothing like that to any of my employers, I promise you.
Nope. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. I will never say that to an employer.
Yeah, I love it, man. There's so many different angles, so many things to talk about, but we're gonna move on to our second wild card matchup. We have the Dolphins going up against the Chiefs at Arrowhead Saturday, 8 p.m. The first matchup to take place in the year of our Lord Jesus Christ, 2024, on Peacock, a streaming service. The
Yeah.
first game to air on a streaming service solely, right? The first NFL playoff game that we got to pay for. I think it's clear, right, by the context I give you here, that this is kind of what I want to talk about first. God damn it, because I think this matchup is fun to talk about too. But how do you
Yeah.
feel about before we get into the matchup? How do you feel about um, this change and whether or not things continue to go in this direction in the future as far as playoff games behind a paywall. God damn it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that to be honest. I think it's mainly because I'm already paying for so many services. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to watch this game, that game. But yeah, when you think about it, yeah, it is behind a paywall. I think we're gonna end up seeing it, man, because where we are with streaming services, and we've talked about this on Realish, but where we are with streaming services, I think it kind of makes sense that these leagues get onto them, right? Um, in terms of a playoff game, that does make it seem a little different, though. I never
Right.
thought about that. I never thought about that. But I think this is where we're going anyway. So I think and I told you this before, but I think the streaming services are going to end up combining to the point where you only have like two or three anyway. Um, and that'll be, down the line. But I think that's where that's where we're headed. So yeah,
Dude,
might
could you
as well,
imagine that? These streaming services collabing together, just coming together and becoming
bro.
television networks. Who would have thought?
Who
We're
thought?
back to we're back in a full circle. God damn it.
Cable
Fucking
wasn't so bad, was it?
monopolistic, money hungry motherfuckers, right? The whole pitch for streaming services was, hey, it's not as expensive. You're only spending
Yeah,
20, but goddamn, when you got 50 of them, those 20 add up real quick, man.
almost paying more for streaming than you are for cable,
Sheesh. Yeah. And you
which
get
is
your
weird.
internet with the cable too. So it's like I'm
Yeah,
paying for way more on that side of
yeah.
things. But anyway, um, yeah, I think that's going to be one of the least viewed playoff games, to say the least. I would imagine the
Yeah,
ratings on that one aren't going to come out too hot.
I,
But
I I wouldn't imagine it would.
it's only right though that we start on the actual analysis. I'm gonna force myself. I'm up first. God damn it. We gotta alternate things on this side. But Dolphins on the road at the Chiefs. Obviously, the storyline here is the Tyreek Hill comeback. Right. We've had this game
Hmm.
already, but in a playoff setting is makes it more exciting, and especially when you have the narrative of God damn. If only we could put some glue on these receivers' gloves in Kansas City, because man, none of these guys could catch a damn pass. I mean, a
Yeah.
historic 40, I believe it was 44 drop passes this past season. Um,
Hmm.
an insane outlook on an already pretty fun storyline. And as far as the matchup goes, man, I would feel a lot more confident in going out on a whim and picking the Dolphins if A, they haven't been sliding recently, but B, they haven't dealt with the injuries that they have late season, especially to a lot of their main dynamic weapons, right? A Chain is
Yeah.
back, but is he back to the form that he was before his injury? I don't really think so. So obviously,
Yeah.
Mostert's going to be starting and in full effect in this one, but I just think all things considered, both of these teams are very strong on offense, right? I
Hmm.
lied. The Chiefs aren't that strong on offense, but
Hmm.
Isaiah Pacheco is gonna eat. Like that's a
Yeah.
storyline to watch out for because of Chubb's injury, because of all the different injuries for the Dolphins. It's such a strange dynamic to think of, right? But when you look at this matchup, you got to think the Chiefs have the better defense. Um, and funny enough, the Dolphins have the better offense, right? So it's going to be a matter
Hmm.
of can we get these guys off the field long enough that the run game can save us? It's going to be an interesting one, but ultimately, you know me, I have an affiliation for who I still believe is the best quarterback in the NFL, and that is Patrick Mahomes. I think ultimately between him, Pacheco, and Mr. Travis Kelsey, of course, Mr. Swift himself, they're going to figure out a way to get this win done at home. But honestly, I won't be surprised if the Dolphins rally and make this a fun game, especially if it starts getting into that 30, 20 point game territory where it's a real race for touchdowns. I could definitely see the
Hmm.
Dolphins competing for sure.
Part of me actually wants to go with them still, because I everything you said about the Chiefs, I don't know. I put it like this: I don't see the switch automatically flipping for the Chiefs. Um, I told you coming into the season I didn't believe in them like that. And they've not proven me to be wrong. This something like when you don't have the guys there, Mahomes can only do so much.
I
Uh,
think the fact that they have accomplished this much deserves some respect, right?
oh
Because
no, it does.
historically
Definitely does.
bad,
Definitely
like
does. It's been
historically
really
bad
bad.
on that side.
It's
Yeah.
been really bad, and Kelsey's not playing up to his level, which makes you then the conspiracy theorists think about, is this a Taylor Swift effect? Um, but I'm gonna go with them. I'm not
Wow.
confident.
Wow. I
I'm not confident.
can't believe you picked the Chiefs in the playoffs. That just gave me a little heart flutter right there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Don't be
I'm gonna go with
silly.
them. I'm honestly not. I'm not confident because yeah, the their run game is gonna be what it is. Pacheco, like you said, is definitely gonna eat. He's a good running back, but
Mhm. One of
it's
the
only
better
so
ones
much
in
you
the
can
league,
rely.
if you ask
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
One
yeah,
won me
yeah.
a fantasy chip last
Eh,
week.
Hey,
I'm
look,
biased.
I
I'm
want to.
biased.
Yeah, I went with him too, and I think he's a really good player. I just don't know that you can fully rely on him. Like
Yeah.
you can't only lean on him. You have to have those that passing game to be a threat to open the lanes up for him as well.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know, but I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah.
I'm not confident though. I would not be shocked if the Dolphins were able to go in there and steal this one. But
Yeah.
seeing what the Bills just did to them, I don't know. I don't see
Yeah.
that happening. Do not
I
see
think
that
it
happening.
really all hinges on my guy Tua turn the ball over, right? If that guy shows up, then certainly the Dolphins don't got a chance. But I think
Yeah.
there's ranges. There's right 50 shades of Tua. Which guy is going to show up? I think
Yes.
ultimately that's what decides this playoff game, and I think it's very clear why we're both going with the Chiefs in this one. But god damn, if anything feels like the dark arts, it's hearing you rooting for the Chiefs. Next up,
Not rooting. Not rooting. I'm just I'm gonna just pick them, but I'm not rooting for 'em.
I respect it. I respect it. Next up, we got the Steelers, the last seed Steelers on the road going up against the Buffalo Bills. The playoff game that quite frankly, nobody asked for, right? This is
Nah.
the garbage
Nah.
bowl right here. Um,
Yes.
I'm gonna frame the discussion this way. Um, if the Steelers somehow move on, what happens to this Bills team? Full reset, right?
At minimum, McDermott is gone.
Bill Burr. Damn. You can't lose Bill Burr.
At minimum, bro. Because I don't see how you could lose to the Steelers and keep your job.
Mhm.
Not after what we've expected from them over the last few years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think this is, I think they're definitely gonna win the game. But if they don't, sheesh,
It's crazy, right?
I
Crazy to even
I
think
don't
about.
that's a crazy thought, bro. That's a crazy thought.
And it reminds me of that opening game. When was it? It wasn't this season, right? It was the season before where the Steelers were able to pull off the upset in
Hmm.
Bills territory. And just such a weird situation. Obviously, the big news around this game is that TJ Watt has that MCL injury, which was initially reported as a tear, and then they sort of walked it back once they made the playoffs, which, if you ask me, is the most disgusting shit you can do as an
Yeah.
organization, in my opinion. If someone tore their damn MCL, why would you let them play? I don't care how
Yeah.
good or what chances you think you have at winning the Super Bowl. Is just absolutely negligent. If that guy plays, man, I would be honestly shocked. But um, yeah, man, I don't know. This one feels like a gimme for sure. Like it feels like if the Bills somehow implode here, everyone's just gonna be with their jaw dropped. But in general, you kind of have to question too. Like, yes, the Bills got here, right? They're the second seed.
Hmm.
They did what they had to
Hmm.
do. But when you look at their season as a whole, right, they've just barely made this work by winning out, right? By turning their season around at the end. And
Yeah.
I never really feel too good about Josh Allen when he's had this extended period of just winning, right? It's been 5+ weeks now where he's just been winning. For me, it kind of feels like a loss is due. And I don't know if that's just regular season mentality when it comes to Josh Allen or what. But I'm definitely going to be picking the Bills to win here. But I don't know. I just don't feel too confident on the Bills as a whole moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm gonna take the Bills here as well. I I think I feel a little bit better about them than you do, but I see exactly where you're coming from with it. It's not that difficult to see it. It's
Yeah,
not. It's very possible they could lose after this, but I think they definitely pull this one off.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot of shit about the Steelers. I think this was a successful year for them too. I mean, it sucks that you
Yeah.
have playoff Mason Rudolph, right? That sucks to be in that scenario. But
Man.
I hope Kenny Pickett is the solution because as a Ravens fan, it's been fun to watch his development. But long term, most Steelers fans probably don't agree with me. So that's another
Yeah.
team to sort of have an eye on about what they're going to do moving forward for sure.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, you said it earlier. I think Russell Wilson being an option for them too would be intriguing. But we'll see.
Yes, sir. Only time shall tell. Next up, we have a game that I'm sure you are going to be particularly interested in. We've got the
Mm.
Packers on the road going up against the Dallas Cowboys. This one's going to be taking place Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Ah man, I'm gonna lead the dance with this one because god damn it, this is the first one that I'm just letting the nuts hang here. And I'm gonna be real. This isn't a let the nuts hang because I got a weird feeling kind of thing. It's a I'm gonna put it all out there because I already know who these guys are. I'm picking the Packers to upset the Cowboys at home. I think ultimately the Packers recently in the last couple of weeks have really come together defensively, most importantly, and their offense has really come together too with Jalen Reed becoming a real threat on that side of the ball. It sucks to not have Christian Watson here. But I think ultimately the Packers have really peaked at the right time on top of
Yep.
facing a team that just historically chokes in the Dallas Cowboys. Now, please, I hope my dad's not hearing this, right? He's gonna fucking lose his shit if he heard any of this. But I have known this team for too long to be a choker, to feel confident picking them in any scenario, let
Yeah.
alone a wild card weekend. But it kind of feels like a default pick, right? It kind of feels like maybe I'm just being lazy here, and I'm not acknowledging the threat that CD has become and the threat that Dak Prescott was this year. But ultimately, I just think Tony Pollard, although I did believe in his step up, I tend to feel that he is not that guy. And I think come playoff time, which is where we are, that's where his sort of contribution is most needed from this team. And I think that's where they end up falling short, man. Give me the Packers on the road.
Honestly, I agree with you because I think even with Pollard becoming the guy there, I, their offense seems more so one dimensional. So I'd be interested to see what happens with the Cowboys moving forward. Let's uh, they won the division, right? But let's not act like they ran the NFC East. Like let's not act like this was like, oh, this is ours, right? We gave it to them.
Mm.
We gift wrapped that division for the Cowboys. So I don't know, man. I do agree. I think Jordan Love is going to put on a show. Um,
Black Jesus.
I don't know, man.
Shout.
I don't know. I have that feel. I have that same feeling you have. I think we could see an upset here.
Wow. I can't believe we're unanimous, right? Kind of makes me feel like,
Yeah,
damn, I it has to happen, right? At this point, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I don't,
yeah.
I just do not trust this team at all when it comes to playoff
No,
time. I do not.
when the lights are brighter, we have not seen Dak Prescott deliver in the playoffs. So until I see it,
Yeah. Engage me in this hypothetical for a second. Let's
yeah,
say Dallas moves on from this round. Is this a team that you think is a actual Super Bowl contender at this point from what they've shown?
no, no, not at all, not at all. I'm gonna be honest, man. I think at this point today, if you were to say that there is a team that's going to win the Super Bowl, it would be the Baltimore Ravens. If you were to look at it today, so I don't care if the Cowboys got to the Super Bowl. They're not getting past the Ravens. Do not see it. Do not see it. I think the Cowboys are a team that's a glitzy team. And to be honest, I think because of their success this season, it's gonna make it even funnier because Jerry Jones ain't gonna do anything
Yeah.
to for this team next season to help them improve. Let's just put it like that. I think Mike McCarthy is gonna stay, which I think before this season we were probably looking at him probably like, yeah, this is probably gonna be his last season there. Um, which don't get me wrong, I actually think that some of the things that he's done, especially with Dak Prescott, has been really good. Dak
Mhm.
has played better this year. Like I don't get it twisted, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm going to just sit here and just trash them. They have done better. They have. But I think that their success this season set them up to not make certain moves next season. And it's going to be interesting to see what those moves will be, you know?
Well,
So we'll see. We'll see. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, that's a great
But I
shout.
don't
And I
think I
agree.
am.
I think because we're both on the same page, it kind of makes us look crazy, right? It kind of makes us
Yeah, yeah,
look
yeah,
like we're
yeah.
like 100% certain of this. It's just the track record speaks for itself, man. And I
It
just feel
does.
like
It does.
this organization specifically, while built this season, you could argue, with the right pieces to find yourself in playoff contention, I
Hmm.
just think it all falls apart, man. It all falls apart for this team. And if it doesn't happen now, it'll happen next round. But we are both going with the Packers here. And what a story for that franchise, right? To go from first year quarterback to now we're going to the second round of the playoffs. Like I think that'll really change the tenor around Jordan Love, even though I think that
Yeah,
conversation should have been started already considering how well he did this season, despite
yeah.
early hiccups, man. So shout out to the Packers. We'll see if that prediction plays out. Next up, we've got the Rams on the road for the first time in years in Detroit against the Lions on Sunday night, prime time, 8 p.m. Derrick, I've set the stage. Why don't you tell me how you feel this matchup is going to go?
Oh man, I think it's set up to be an early exit for the Lions. I it seems as if the Rams started to mm, they hit their stride in the last couple of games of the season. And I think that has been pretty good for them to go into this matchup. Stafford, I'm assuming, even though that's home, he loves the Lions. I'm assuming there's nothing but love there. There is also going to be that feeling of get back there, right? I don't know. I don't know. The Lions could very well win this game, but I don't feel like they're going to win this one. I think the with ooh, I'm going to mess his name up. Nakua.
Puka Nakua. Puka Nakua. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think with his emergence, that's really helped their offense out a lot. Um,
And
it's
Kyron
gonna be
Williams,
interesting
too.
to see. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens, but I could see where they win this matchup. But then I could also see where the Lions win it. It's like I don't know, but I'm gonna go with the Rams in this one. Um, I think that extra little motivation will be there. But there's also gonna be motivation for Jared Goff too. Let's not I'm not like
Yeah,
this. He's only one. Jared Goff is gonna have some little bit of motivation as well. But I don't know. I just feel like the Rams have been picking up at the right time, where it seems like this could be when they pick up and win this one.
great shout, man. I'm going to be honest here. This one's kind of tricky for me, right? Because
Yeah,
I will be honest. I'm going to be rooting for the Lions here. I want the
me
Lions to
too.
do well. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
been so long since they've been in this spot. You want to see them have some success, but I tend to agree with you, man. When you look at a matchup with two playoff teams that have outstanding offenses, you got to think, man, who has the better defense? That's usually going to come out
Yes.
on top, right? And we talk so much about the whitest pass rush in the league. Shout out to the Lions. I think ultimately having a game changer like Aaron Donald with that championship level experience on that side of the ball, even if um, why am I forgetting the name? Their cornerbacks aren't to the level historically you remember as Jalen Ramsey. I still feel like their defense as a whole is still very much so one of the best in the league and keeps them very competitive. And when they have an explosive offense like that, man, it's hard to argue against the Rams. I'm gonna be picking the Rams here as well. Kind of funny. We just think alike, right? When it comes to
Amen.
a lot of these football matchups, but great minds tend to do that.
Yes,
I
sir.
really do feel like the Rams' resurgence has been something to watch, man.
Hmm.
I am someone that has drafted in a dynasty league in the fourth round, Puka Nakua. Someone that knew,
Ooh.
hey, this is a guy to look at, but I didn't know it was going to be to this level, right? So what he's been able
Yeah.
to produce this season is insane. Kyron Williams outbreak for this team has been awesome. That's another guy that needs to get paid because doing all this on a rookie deal, man.
Yeah.
Save some of it, right? We got to get you
Yeah.
paid, brother. Save some of it. But this team's offense is really good after like the way it turned around this season after having that hangover year after the Super Bowl. It's
Mhm.
nothing short of remarkable, man. This team is retooled and honestly ready to contend for another couple years. I won't be surprised if Aaron Donald says, "Fuck it, I ain't retiring. I ain't fucking
Yeah.
leaving." Shout out to what's this guy's name from Wolf of Wall Street? I ain't fucking leaving. I
Oh
won't be
yeah, yeah,
surprised if
yeah,
we
yeah,
see Aaron
yeah.
Donald stick around for a couple more years, man. This Rams team is for real, and like you said, man, Puka Nacua is that guy. So obviously, I mentioned at the top, I want the Lions to do well here. I think their offense is phenomenal. Between their two-star running backs, because they have two. There's some teams that don't even
Hmm.
got one, and this team has two. God damn it!
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
it's gonna be a race to 40 points, in my opinion. And when you have the better defense, you tend to edge it out. So
yeah.
picking the Rams, man, but it should be a fun one. I think of all of them, this is my
It's gonna be a
game
fun
that I
game.
have highlighted for sure because it should
Yeah,
be the most exciting. Now we get to talk about a very enticing matchup for you, Derek. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. We've got the Eagles on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday at 8 p.m. Whew, it's been a season, right? Starting 10-1. Unfortunately, things went in a different direction towards the end of the season, and obviously, Jalen Hurts is a little banged up coming into this game. But how are
yeah.
you feeling about this playoff game on the road and your outlook for 2023, 2024 for the Eagles?
I'm gonna be honest, man. This game is set up to be one of those defining games. Like this we're gonna actually see who this team is this week,
Mhm.
right? And I believe the identity of this team or the representation of this team comes down to coaching. So to be completely honest with you, if they don't blow the Buccaneers out, Sirianni can go. I'm already at the point where Sirianni can go, but actually, I'll put it like this: short of winning the Super Bowl, Sirianni can go
Wow.
at this
That's
point.
high expectations, brother.
At this point, because you have been reluctant to changing certain aspects of your team, and that is with the coordinators. They try to put the bad defensive calls on Sean Desai, and you see Matt Patricia gets put into that spot, and it's worse. It's not even the same. It's worse.
For sure. And with the
Um,
personnel, with all due respect,
with
I
the
need to
same
mention this.
personnel.
With the personnel getting better on that side of the ball, it has gotten worse. So
You
make that
you
make
out
sense.
you went out and got Shaq Leonard, and you still can't figure out how to stop anyone. How does that happen? I like there are no excuses. There are no excuses. And I believe that honestly, the roster is there. Put it like this. I actually think that they can still get to the Super Bowl. Like if they just go, if they just do it, they could actually still get there. Like it's not about the personnel. The personnel is not bad. Any team would want to have that type of personnel on their roster. You know what I'm saying? Like they would want that. But we, the coordinators, man. Brian Johnson, I saw that the Panthers want to hire. I mean, want to interview him for the head coach. Please take him. Please take him. Brian Johnson needs to go. Sirianni needs to go. Matt Patricia and Sean Desai, they need to go. I like you. You cannot tell me that they have this type of team last year go to the Super Bowl, lost, then come back into the season. You start off 10-1, and then what now all of a sudden you can't stop anyone? Like the 49ers and the Cowboys game, that back to back. To me, honestly, I was looking at it, I was like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. You're not gonna win every game, right? But it was what happened after those two games that got me to the point where I'm just like, I'm good. I
Mhm.
mentally checked out on the Eagles. I am
And I just want to
solely
reiterate, I
focused
just
on the
want to
Celtics.
reiterate, this is fucking rare, right? Like from where we
Yeah,
were at the start
yeah,
of the season to being in a place where you feel this way is kind of crazy, bro. Honestly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's honest, right? Like what we've seen the last couple of weeks. I didn't even watch the rest of like I didn't finish the first quarter last week.
How could you? Yeah. How could you? That was a despicable performance, honestly.
They were up by what, 24, I believe, in the
Yeah.
first quarter. Who saw that coming?
Nobody. Not even the
You know what I'm
Giants.
saying?
Yeah.
Not even the Giants. The Giants like, what the hell y'all doing? Like, if you're not gonna show up and play, it is what it is. And I get Devontae Smith was out. I get Swift was out. I get AJ Brown went down in the game, but nothing. You're not doing anything. I got nothing for you, man. Like
Mhm.
they should win this game, and I'm gonna pick them to win this game. They better show up. But this shouldn't even be a close game,
Yeah.
and I have a
I
feeling
agree.
it's gonna be close. I have a feeling it's gonna be close, and that's got nothing to do with the personnel. I'll be to be completely honest with you, because if you've seen how they've utilized Hassan Reddick this season,
Mhm.
it's abysmal. It doesn't even make sense how they've utilized that
Dropping
man.
in coverage. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Why? 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 The defensive line can't even get to anybody. Why? It's the coordinators, the
Mhm.
people that are putting them in place. The exact same reason we lost the Super Bowl, because the defensive coordinator put them in horrible positions and couldn't stop anything. So what do you expect? If you're bringing in coordinators that are going to do the exact same thing as Jonathan Gannon did, and then you let Jonathan Gannon come into Philly and do that.
Yeah. That was sad too.
So
I don't care if it was James Conner was the one that was going off. Like at the end of the day, the
yeah.
fact that you guys lost that game and then follow that up with the Giants. Like I'm gonna be real with you. I just got to jump in here because I feel the way you're going about this, and I agree. Like I am ultimately picking the Eagles here, but I also need to just make this known and say this. I think even if the Eagles were on a roll right now, I feel like this Bucks team is a significantly difficult matchup that people don't acknowledge. I
Oh
think
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah, yeah,
both sides of the ball, their line is impeccable.
yeah.
A lot of teams in the NFL, even some playoff teams, would wish that they had a line like them on offense and defense. On top of having real big playmakers like Mike Evans and Rashad White, who had an amazing season this year. And obviously being led by Baker Mayfield, who goddamn won me a bet that was two years in the running on this show. Uh, there's a lot of things as far as matchup wise that makes this a difficult outing. But when you
Yeah,
consider
yeah.
all those things as well, like the slide you guys are on and needing to find your footing, after resting guys. Like that's a big part that people miss out on too. Like, yes, this is the play-in tournament, right? This is what we've all waited for. But at the same time, we haven't had actual game reps in most cases for 2+ weeks, right? Um, so I just wanted to make it clear how even if the Eagles do somehow end up losing here, it's not like this was just a collapse for the ages and fucking nobody deserves to be here. I would hate for that to be the narrative because if you ask me, this Eagles team is a historically good team and it's still one of the most dangerous teams to match up against because they're
Oh
so
yeah,
low seated compared to
yeah,
the level of talent they have on their squad. So
yeah.
I am also picking the Eagles here, but I just got to make it be known this is not an easy matchup. And
No, it's not.
I
No, it's
think if
not.
the Eagles can come out right on this side of it, I think they're playoff ready. I think if they can bounce back here, fuck all the skids. If they can win this game, they're live. And if they're live, they're
But
Super Bowl contenders. Let's get that shit
they
straight.
they have to win the game decisively, not just like
I don't think
a
so.
narrow. No, for me, they have
For
to.
your faith. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For me, because I'm
Mhm,
telling you, I like what I've seen in these games, and there are people that are even theorizing that Big Dom, the security guy that was on the sideline, there were people that are theorizing that he was the one that was actually, coaching this team, and that since he hasn't been on the sideline and this is whole skid, it
mhm.
coincides. But I mean, even with I would tend to agree. But if you think back to that San Francisco game, we were losing when he was on the sideline. It's
Yeah.
not like we were.
Correlation does not equal
uh,
causation, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, I don't really buy it. But that there is a certain level of energy that has not been there. That a fight, and is again there's I'm not saying that the players are absolved from those issues or those reasons, but when you look at this team versus last year, how they looked, you know, I mean, but you can't tell me you beat the Bills the way you did this season, and you're not that team anymore. You can't tell me you beat the Cowboys this year and not that type of team anymore. You can't tell me you beat the Chiefs this year and you're not that team anymore. You can't tell me those things. So in order to get me to actually believe that they can, because I still believe they can go on that run, but in order for me to believe that they will go on that run, they have to like win this decisively. Like this has to be like at minimum a two-score game. At
High
minimum.
expectations, brother. Because
I
I
have
think
nothing
it's
but high expectations for
I
him,
think it's
man.
that competitive of a game. I don't know. I feel
I know
like
it's
it
going to be a
should.
competitive
I
game.
don't-
It is. But here's the thing. It's not even just a score, right? Like
Mhm.
effort. If what
Yeah.
we're looking at, you're not even trying, I don't care. You could have given the playoff spot to the Giants at that point, in my opinion. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to see effort. And that's not just with the players. That's with coaching. That's with the coordinators. Like at least try. Try to actually win this game. Try to help your guys be put into a better position. Don't sit here and just be like, oh, what the hell? I guess we're just gonna go home. No,
Mhm.
no, no. Because
So
that's
I
not
wanted to
this
ask,
team.
you got me fired up over here. Do you think, given the injury to Jalen Hurts last week, that
Hmm.
team can even show up? Do you think that's even a possibility, given the fact that he is also injured
He is injured.
coming into
Yeah.
this week?
Um, I think he'll put it like this. I think he can do better.
For
I
sure.
I I
Injury or
think that
not.
it's injury or not. I think it's very possible. If you're stepping out on that field, damn it, you better do something.
Yeah.
That's how I put it. Like you if you're gonna step on that field, you better do it. You better do it. And he's got that mentality. He's got that ability to go out there and go for it. He's got it. I don't think if we lose this game, personally, I don't think it's going to be on him. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I think honestly, I think it most likely more so would be on the secondary. Because like you said, you got Godwin and Mike Evans on the outside and Bradbury, bro.
I was about to say, as an observer, how can you describe this collapse? Because on both sides of that defensive end,
Yeah.
I don't think we're figuring things out. But
That's
Bradbury specifically,
secondary.
man, it's strange to see such a fall off over the course of the season.
The
Because
since
early on,
the
it
Super
was not
Bowl.
this bad.
Since the Super
Early
Bowl.
on in this year, it was not this
No,
bad.
it was.
Wow.
His coverage has been slow.
And we was
It's
talking
almost
shit
like
about
he's
Eli Apple. Eli Apple held it down for the
well,
Dolphins. God damn it. But
I
yeah.
wouldn't compare it. He ain't that low. But I do believe that between Bradbury and Slay, is definitely their last season in Philly. One of them.
Both of them. Oh.
One of them. One of
Hmm.
them. And I think it's most likely Bradbury. Avante Maddox, as much as I love that guy, every season there is a major injury to this guy. And then it leaves the defense in shambles. It's weird. It's weird. So I don't know what the expectation is, but Maddox got to go. Maddox got to go. Bradbury most likely got to go, and you got to find someone that's going to be able to take up that spot, whether he's on the roster or not.
Hmm.
I think Eli Ricks is a very promising player, but he's got to clean up his mistakes as well. I think this is the time to show up or shut up. Like you either show up and play or shut up and go home. I like is it, I the whole everything that we heard in the press conferences after the games in this 1-5 stretch has
Hmm.
been, oh, we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn. Well, y'all are some slow learners.
Yeah.
Learn.
Time to put that shit in practice.
Learn. Yeah, and it's not just the players. That's what I'm saying. Like this whole thing starts with the head of the team, and that would be Nick Sirianni. You're the head coach, right? The offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators are implementing your strategy, your game plan.
Damn, bro. It's just so hard for me to believe that after a season like this, even if, let's say, for example, hypothetically, hear me out here, we're both picking the Eagles, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
hypothetically, let's say the Bucks come out and win this game. Me personally, what Sirianni has achieved the last 2 years, you can't fire that man. Like,
Oh yeah,
in
you
my
can.
opinion, you
Yes, you
cannot
can.
fire that man. Like,
How about this?
you
Doug
cannot.
Peterson. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and was gone 2 years after.
But Doug Peterson didn't win a Super Bowl in his rookie year. Obviously, he didn't win it, but in his sophomore year, I mean, he made it
Bro,
in his sophomore
bro,
year.
bro. I don't care. That man got
You
a
gotta show
statue.
me.
That man got a statue outside of that stadium and was fired after winning the Super Bowl. If you're willing to do that for Doug Peterson, Sirianni ain't gotten. He ain't no
Dude,
better.
if
Do
that
not care.
happens, me personally,
Sirianni, Sirianni can go. Look
I'll be
again. Short,
shocked. Shocked.
short of winning the Super Bowl, Sirianni's got to go anyway.
Wow. In order for you to feel comfortable moving forward.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, because you went and hired Brian Johnson as the offensive coordinator because he's been there, but he was also like Jalen Hurts' friend. Like I get it, but at the same time, like, come on, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Not when Bieniemy was you could have went out and gotten him.
The prime target, literally.
You see what I'm saying? Like you don't do that. You missed out on Vic Fangio, and then when got decide just because that's consolation prize. Brian
Yeah, that
Flores
felt
was
like a
out
big
there.
consolation prize for sure.
Was Brian Flores not there?
Yep. And look where
So
he
what?
ended
What?
up on a Vikings team that had no shot of being a good defense, and they still were more
And they
formidable
still.
than most
That's
other
what I'm
teams.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
This is beyond just what happened this season. The flower that Sirianni said was growing like the roots were growing under the ground and stuff like that. That flower is dead. It's dead and gone. Sirianni got to go. Sirianni got to
Wow.
go.
So I gotta ask you, plain as day, does this game does your fandom hinge on this game? Like,
Nah,
is it? I
nah,
gotta ask. I gotta
nah,
ask.
nah. You know when my fandom actually hinged was when they were willing to keep Chip Kelly. That last year Chip Kelly was
Mm,
there, I was like, all right, you know what? Y'all keep him one more season. I'm out.
the goat Matt Barkley. Shout out
I'm
Matt
out,
Barkley, USC baby.
bro. And once they got rid of him, I was like, okay, I can feel better because you don't get rid of Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin, and LaShawn McCoy, who were all balling. That was a Super Bowl team with Mike Vick.
Yep.
You don't move on from them and keep what Riley Cooper.
The Riley
Y'all
Cooper
have you
era.
heard of Riley Cooper? Have you heard anything from him in the last couple of years?
Hell no.
I look, even when he was in Philly, I still didn't hear about anything about him.
Yeah. The Riley Cooper era ended as quickly as it began, for sure.
Yeah, that's when my fandom hinged on this team.
Wow.
Was where
But yeah,
you going to where
you're not in the worst spot. You're not in the worst spot.
nah,
I think
nah.
there's a real chance you guys make a big run here, even
I think
just
they
because you
can.
guys.
I
Yeah,
think they can, but guess what? It's still nut up or shut up.
for sure. Damn. Derrick, you got me fired up, bro. This is gonna be a great
Bro,
weekend.
that's what I'm saying. Like, bro, I can't be more fired up than the team. That can't happen. I ain't making millions of dollars from the Eagles. They ain't
Yep.
paying me.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. But why am I more hyped and into this?
Enthusiastic. God damn it. Yeah,
Why?
absolutely. I think we'll see that
And that
energy.
starts with Sirianni, bro. I
I
swear
think
on
we'll see
everything that
that
starts with
energy.
him. We better. If I don't even see that, bro, I'm telling you, they not winning this game.
Damn. And I
And
could see it.
again,
I could see that
you know
happening.
when the season turned around for me? When the 49ers pushed Bradbury around on the sideline and the other guys standing around did nothing. When y'all
Yes.
let them come
Yes.
into your house and push your boy around and you did nothing, that's when everything went downhill for me.
Soft as baby shit. I agree. That visual was egregious. There's no
It
way as a
was.
coach you see that and you're like fucking happy about your sideline. Yeah, that was terrible.
So yeah, I'm good. I'm
Hmm.
good.
Damn. Well, the Eagles have a lot of fucking proving to do this week if we've learned
They
anything.
do.
We're both picking them here,
Yep.
but it's time to show us, God damn it. And just like that, we're done, baby. That's all the wild card games we have. Obviously, we have the number one seeds, the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore motherfucking Ravens, waiting in the wings, right, for next week to see how things are going to play out. But I think it's only right that we come to a close on the 2023-2024 season, and we're looking forward to the playoffs, that we give our announcement on our picks challenge for our
Yes,
third
sir.
edition of this show. It's been obviously a blast to go head to head with this creative mind in the space, my guy Derrick. But there's only one winner, right? There's only space for one winner, god damn it. And this season, I had a very formidable season. I thought both of us really did phenomenally. But
Good.
there can only be one winner, god damn it. And I finished the season going 154 wins with 70 losses. Which, if you ask me, when you're over 500, you're doing good. But
Oh
when you could
yeah.
be double over, you're looking real good. So I thought I did well. Um, but my guy Derrick did a phenomenal job in his own right, and he finished the season 153 to 71. It is official. I have won this year's
Wow.
picks challenge by 1 point,
Wow.
ladies and gentlemen. I
Is
held
that
on.
crazy?
I held on for dear life. There was a point where I was up by like 5+ points, and I've just clung
Wow.
on to a 1 point lead to be a two-time champ winner of the
Wow.
head-to-head picks. It took me 2 years, but god damn it, I'm over the hump. I've got two chips under the belt. God damn it. This was an awesome
Congratulations.
season, and I will have to say we're gonna make sure the next season we have the full 18 games in there. We only went
Yes.
15 deep this time around, but
Pause.
once again, what we have, a, a. He said it, not me. All right. But either way, I think what we did this time around was really phenomenal. I think once again, our picks
Yeah.
against the spread, we're doing a lot better than most of you NFL analysts. So get your shit together, baby. It's clear. We
Or
got some
hire us,
original
whichever one.
thoughts. Got some original thoughts going on over here at OTS. Uh, But really, great job. I think even though I won, it's important that I got to shower you with praise too, because both of us really fucking killed it. The fact that we ended
And
out that close. We're doing our thing over here at OTS.
and we were opposing most of those games. That's what's
Literally.
crazy.
Yep,
That's what's
literally.
crazy. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, I think we did a great job. We're all that's the one thing I don't have any questions about. Like we know exactly what the hell we talking about. And if
Yes,
you
sir.
and if you are not listening and paying attention, you're missing out. But guess what? We're always gonna be here. So you can always jump on the train, baby. Come on.
Hmm.
Come
Yeah,
on.
better late than never in this world. But just know
Yes,
when
sir.
when you tune into the sideline, guys, you're getting nothing but the highest quality of football analysis. And God damn it, there's no one else I'd rather be doing it next to than my guy. So Derek, why don't you let them know once again where they can find you and your spectacular tweets, mostly about the Celtics these days?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, most definitely. I ain't talking about the Eagles too much now, even though the Celtics are down pretty bad right now.
I knew that game was going to be a cause for you being grumpy, but
Yeah.
you turned in
Oh
an
no, no,
all
not
timer. This
grumpy, not grumpy.
You
We
turned in
we
an all
look,
timer.
we on a second of a back to back, and they went into overtime last night. I look, I
It's not the
y'all
Garden. It don't even count.
it's,
You know what I'm saying?
say what y'all want, say what y'all want. The Celtics are winning the championship this year, and I am not deterred by one game.
Hey, my
Anyway.
OKC might have something to say about that, but I
I
like
would
the way you're
love to
headed. I like
see.
the way you're
I
headed.
would love to see the Celtics and the Thunder in the finals. That would be a fun matchup, to be completely honest.
Dude,
That'd be a fun matchup.
imagine we get both of our teams in the finals in two different sports, bro. What
Oh
would
my
that do to
God.
us, bro? I'm not sure we're ready for that reality.
I think we are. I think we are. I think the audience would be highly entertained by that. So let's get it. Let's start that campaign, man.
Hey, we're on
You
our
can
way.
follow me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can follow me at Derrick underscore OTS. That's Derrick, the black way to spell it.
Yes, sir. And make sure you follow me as well on TikTok and Twitter at Negron MMA, as well as Chris Negron underscore on Instagram if you care to find out. Got a lot of fun things on the horizon between MMA, Realish, and the sideline guys as a whole. So make sure you're tuned in and you're getting all that good stuff. But another awesome one in the books, Derek. I just gotta ask
Yes,
you as we
sir.
close things out on a scale of one to Bill Belichick, how checked out are you on on the rest of the NFL season? Or is it just a we'll watch the Eagles? How checked out are you on the NFL right
Checked out. I wouldn't say I'm checked out. I'm checked out on the Eagles.
now? Mm,
Checked out on the Eagles. But when you're a fan of a sport, you're still gonna be intrigued by certain games and matchups. And to be honest, what we're seeing from the Ravens is phenomenal. I can't hate on that. The only person that's a Ravens fan that I don't want to enjoy this is a friend of mine, Gigi. I if Gigi, if you're watching this, if you guys been around OTS for a couple of years, you've probably seen her in the comments when we were doing fans battles. Gigi, if you're watching this, um, I would love to see the Ravens succeed, to be honest, as an AFC team.
mhm.
I just don't want you to enjoy it. That's all. That's all.
Hey, Gigi, I'm sorry, but ain't nothing stopping this parade, baby. Ain't nothing stopping this parade. I have been over the moon, and I try not to talk about it too much, right? Because especially on this
Yeah.
week, there's no reason to even bring up my Ravens, but I really, really appreciate that shout out. I think what we've accomplished this season has been nothing short of remarkable, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out. But overall, man, we got a phenomenal week of football ahead of us. Can't wait to find out who wins and who loses. But most importantly, I know if anyone's losing, it's the folks out there in Atlanta. I'm sorry, Derek. I got to do it to y'all. Falcons, get your shit together. Hawks, get your motherfucking shit together. The people of Atlanta deserve better. And I think there's no way to end this show than that. Derek, why don't you sign us
So,
off?
yes, sir. Well, I was gonna say in response to that, they do deserve better, but to be honest, if you choose teams like that as your team, do you really deserve better?
Hmm. Look in the fucking mirror, god damn it. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.